Standing emergency. Standing emergency.
My mommy and daddy are having a fight.
Is she hitting her?
911, do you have a police or medical emergency? Yes. My dad is beating up my mom. Your dad is beating up your mom? Yeah. Okay, hon, stay on the phone with me, okay?
Every 9 seconds, a woman in the US is a victim of domestic violence. In downtown Hagerstown at CASA, their mission is to educate and protect the victims and residents of Washington County against domestic violence and sexual abuse. Welcome to Headline News.
CASA is a domestic violence agency. We work with intimate partner domestic violence. We've been in existence since 1977, and it came about due to a domestic violence situation that occurred, and they saw a need for these type of services in this community. Pretty much all programs started very small. I think our agency has grown. We have over 20 employees. We cover a number of different areas, including services for victims and for perpetrators here. So the programs have grown a great deal. In my program, we can see up to 30 clients in any given week, but in my program, I generally work with them in a crisis situation. So I'm working with someone who maybe is just about to leave their situation or has just left a situation, or maybe they're thinking of leaving and just want to get some services and find out what options are available to them.
It's not a matter of why didn't you just leave, you've got to get away. It's an escape. It's been a part of my life since I can remember. My dad was abusive to me and my 5 sisters and my mom. Just kind of my whole life has been a struggle. Then my mom was a single mother of 6 girls.
Back to domestic violence and why he does it. It's power and control. Plain and simple. And this wheel was developed in Duluth by victims of domestic violence.
The girls, he was disciplining them. He's leaving handprints, doing pressure holds on our 8-year-old, and, you know, just always yelling at him, calling him stupid, calling them whatever name he can think of, and they're dealing with that now. Sometimes they sound just like their dad. Oh, you're stupid, or if they make a mistake, why am I so stupid?
Becca, wear this one for now, okay, because I have no idea where your one went.
So stupid.
I kept thinking, if I do better, it will get better. If I do more, it will get better. And you have that hope.
I also work very closely with our therapists on staff who are able to work with clients on a more ongoing basis for counseling. They can come for additional sessions beyond what I do, and they can get a little more in-depth with domestic violence with those clients. Our program also has a legal advocate and a staff attorney. They're here to help with protection orders. They can assist sometimes with divorce, and they oftentimes answer questions about some custody. They're very good at giving referrals and helping people to find what works for them as far as the legal process is concerned.
I don't want to be hurt. I don't want my girls to be hurt. I never would have said it even 2 months ago, but I do deserve better than that. I don't care if I'm putting 10 years of marriage in the trash. I don't care. I've fought and I've struggled, and I brought us to those 10 years, and the one good thing I got out of that was my girls. He's not gonna take that away from me.
Well, I'll go get one. You gonna get her? Notice that there's injuries here in the forearm, or if somebody's curled up, there's injuries along the back, those types of things.
We need to get those women the help they need and the appropriate medical care and health care that they need. But then also we need to do it so that the health care costs of this nation can decrease.
looks bad to you, how do you think it looks to him? Please help put an end to the violence.
Well, first of all would be to assess their safety needs and to find out from them what it is they would like to do. Are they interested in shelter? Are they interested in a protection order? Are they just here to find out what the options are that are available to them? Really trying to look at what their situation is and what their needs are at that time so that they can then make the most informed decision. I think you're right that there's a lot of stressors right now that maybe people haven't had to face in a number of years. Their finances are one of the number one things that we talk about in domestic violence. The finances are short. They aren't able to stay in their homes. They've maybe had to take in extended family members. In some cases, neither one of them are working. You know, their unemployment might be running out and they're trying to find jobs. It can be very difficult for somebody in that situation. The stress level is extremely high. So there's not a lot of positives going on in the home, and sometimes it does become violent. Therefore, you know, helping them to look at what services are here for them, looking at what ways they can protect themselves.
I'm at a point I don't care what other people think because they don't live my life. They don't have to look at the girls going through their stuff. It hurts me that the girls feel like they are not anything. They can play, they're creative, they're beautiful, and they don't really feel that way. They're fighting all the time, and they never used to be like that. And that hurts me to see what he's done to them.
Kind of like, you know, when you get a new president in, they always say you have that first 100 days. Well, when a social movement starts and the public catches on and is sympathetic, you have a couple years in which you're defining the issue and you're saying this is about this, and then the powers that be step in and start to redefine.
Whole communities are being deeply affected by the arrests that we are imposing on them as a result of domestic violence. And I believe that domestic violence is preventable, and I think that we can take various steps in order to address it that don't necessarily have to include criminalization.
I think we need a law that punishes offenders at the same level that we would punish people who take hostages or kidnap people.
It really does put women of color and their partners of color in more jeopardy. And we have learned this from women of color, and we have to acknowledge it, and we can't pretend it doesn't exist.
What is the alternative? Do you want to go back to the 1960s and the 1970s when police didn't arrest? Do you want to go back when you gave officers total discretion to decide to make an arrest or not? Well, I think not.
We have to recapture the momentum that we had that was about sisterhood that doesn't exist as strongly today.
We have counseling for children. We do have a therapist on staff who meets with the children, and they can do like weekly appointments with them as well. And also, if there's children in our shelter, that same therapist will also provide services to them and provide counseling for them as well. It is very great. There's oftentimes a wait list. However, it is something that we do provide, yes. We have a program, the Abuser Intervention Program. A lot of times people get that confused with anger management. However, it is alternatives to violence. And this is the part of the program that works with perpetrators of violence. I know that a lot of centers, they focus just on victims of domestic violence, but then we realize that part of the relationship that needs some work sometimes is working with those who are offending. And so we have a program here that works with abusers, and it's the Abuser Intervention Program. We can shelter the children. Our shelter will accept clients and their children, male children up to age 12. Beyond that, then we do make referrals and look at what other options we can find for them. It's just an issue having older males in our shelter.
Of course.
Tomorrow, plenty, but right now you don't sit and call people names. Do you understand?
I want to help right now.
No, there is all heavy.
If you had one thing to say to people who are going to watch this film, what would it be?
You don't have to take anything, whether it's hitting or whether it's someone yelling at you. Go get a coat on.
Can I give you a hug?
It is important to have a safety plan. If you're in a domestic violence situation and you're thinking, oh, I might want to leave, it may be the most dangerous time in your relationship. Therefore, you want to make sure that you make plans that this abusive partner is not aware of. There are some things you can do as far as to plan ahead to try and get things put together. You might be able to put the clothing together, put extra money together, send it to someone you trust, keep it at a friend's house, a babysitter's house, something like that, someplace where you're putting things away that you can then maybe access later, and would be easy for you to pick it back up again if you do decide to leave. The safety plan also looks at, if things were unsafe, would I be able to call the police? Do I have my phone with me? Am I going to have a way to do that? Do I have neighbors that I can maybe talk to and say, you know what, things haven't always been safe here. If you hear something, would you mind calling the police for me? So there are some things that we talk about with women to try to give them some ideas of things they can do to help themselves to stay safe. Also too, I think in a safety plan you want to kind of plan out what's there, what's available, and then that leads us into our shelter. I mean, it might be something that if someone is trying to leave their situation, that they go ahead and maybe contact our shelter and talk with staff there to see if they would be eligible. I would say our numbers are still pretty low, but I won't say that they don't happen because we do have clients who come in. It may be that they were the victim of domestic violence. In some cases, they may be a victim of sexual assault as well. So, I mean, you may get a male who's coming in for either part of the program there. Sometimes they're less likely, yes, and there's some stigma that's still out there that maybe men can't be raped or men can't be abused, and yet that's not true at all. I realize we do have a mission statement. Of course, there's a perform statement. However, I think we are here to really help victims of domestic violence to see that there are options, that they don't have to stay in those violent homes, that there are things that we can do to help get them into a safe place so that they can be safe and healthy.
If you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence or abuse, CASA can help. You can contact them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the following number. Alternatively, visit their website at casainc.org.
Until next time on Headline News, cheerio.